Like if you're all in, like if you worked 3 jobs, everybody would stay off your back. But if you worked as hard on 3 jobs as you did on your craft, people stay off your back too. It's very visible. And I think that like understanding that it is a visible thing, they will eventually see it. They just don't see what you see, like it's in your head. Then you'll have that like comfort to know, okay, like letting go does not mean cutting off, sending out a mass text or something like that. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Mind Fluxed podcast, a show for creators and doers who want more and aren't going to let anyone stop them from doing it. On this show, we talk about how to think, and our guests, concepts, and ideas are tools for you to use to maximize your results and your success, whatever that looks like for you. And if you have been struggling with making decisions, the starting point of all success, we have a free guide for you guys at mindflux.com/decisions. We talk about 7 mistakes to avoid that we have learned personally and experienced. If you guys are watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe right now. And if you're listening on iTunes, leave a review. Those 2 things will help us grow this show and reach as many people as possible. As always, we're produced downtown in our office and studio by Benji Got Beats. I'm one of your hosts, Tristan Parmley, and I'm joined by my awesome co-host,
Josh Matthews.
And today we're going to talk about a very simple topic that I think people overcomplicate. And just very simple: grow or let go. And I think we should start off really by like making the distinction. Like, what is actual growth? Because sometimes it doesn't feel like it. And what is actually letting go? Because people say they do, but they're not actually doing it. So I want to ask you like immediately, because I think you do a very good job of segmenting the 2 in your life and how they fit in, the things that are helping you and the things that aren't. How do you distinguish like growth first and foremost and leveraging it? And then we'll move on to the other one.
Yeah, so I mean, I think basically when it comes to like growth, it's just like, you know, if something's helping you grow if it's like, you know, if you feel like you're better than you were, you know, the day before. And not necessarily like a tremendous like exponential growth, but just like you feel better. You know, you maybe have better thoughts, or you feel like you are just like a little bit forward than you were the day before. And I just think that's like first and foremost. Like I think a lot of people, they know when they're growing. Like you just feel it inside of you. Like you just know that I was better than I was yesterday, or I was, 6 months ago.
Yeah, even though if it's like 1%.
Yeah.
Some people think they're going to get like 100% better. It's just like even if it's 1%. And sometimes growth feels like you're going backwards, right? Because you're investing more time or more energy, more money, whatever it might be. So on paper, it would look like the opposite of growth, but and I think it's an individual experience, that you're growing, so it has to be done.
Right.
So then what's the opposite of that? Letting go and actually like closing a chapter. What does that actually look like? And like, what does somebody like need to understand really about like letting go to make sure they're actually taking advantage of that opportunity?
Yeah. I mean, we talked about growth. So like letting go is like basically just like what doesn't serve you, just don't participate in it. Like if it doesn't serve to like where you're trying to go. So that could mean friends, family, certain activities, certain thoughts that you have, certain beliefs that you have. Like if you're thinking about your goal and you're thinking about where you're trying to go, so like that point B of where you want to go, if whatever it is that's consuming your life right now isn't serving you to get there, you just need to cut that off like immediately and figure out what you can put to replace that thing.
Yeah, so like letting go is like making a decision to replace an activity, habit, action, thought with something else.
Right.
Like that, like letting go is decide means to like cut off all other options, right? So if you're in a growth state, like, yeah, you're going to be experiencing new things, and things are not going to be like always like peaches and cream. Like it's going to get kind of hard, but you're adding to it. Like, know that it's the right thing to do, even if it takes extra work, a couple hours, extra work, less sleep, more money, whatever it might be. But when it comes to letting go, I think people don't make the clear distinction. On growth, it's very clear. Yeah, this makes me feel better, and like this is helping, so I got to do it. But when it comes to like letting go of things, people are like, it's not that bad.
Yeah, and I think too, like people are just like scared to let go. Like letting go of something that you're so used to is like that can be like scary. Like people, whether it is like say a relationship or a relationship with a family member or just something that makes you feel super comfortable.
Yeah.
Like that's scary to let go because it's like you're putting that unknown of like if you get rid of that, then what are you gonna replace it with? Or you might be scared of the feeling that you might be scared of losing the comfort that you had with what was like keeping you stagnant compared to replacing it with the thing that's gonna help you grow.
Right. And you might have like FOMO, like fear of missing out of like different things or different experiences, even though you know it just doesn't hit you over the head quite clearly sometimes that like, oh, this is better for me. I need to get on the growth side more often and like it's time to pack this stuff up. So let's talk about like within ourselves. Like I think one of the easiest ways to look at what's helping you grow and what you need to let go is to look at the food you eat, the fun you have, and like really like procrastination and the reason why you do it. Because the food you eat, for me, I've been lucky enough to have, like a high metabolism and everything else, but like that, like you really are, what you eat. And we've tested a lot of different things. I think that that's pretty big. So I kind of want to expand on that. I think the fun that you have, what you consider to be fun and how you can replace that to be something that helps you. And the reasons why you procrastinate or only halfway finish jobs can be like something too that adds to, your growth or something you need to pack up. So I want to ask you, like when it comes to getting where you want to be, I mean, you're on like a journey fitness wise and food wise and everything, but it's helping your mindset, what you do for fun, what you do for work and everything else, because you have to plan around that. So like, how can somebody out there listening, maybe they do or don't have any problems with their, fitness or whatever, take into consideration like that first point that like what you eat does matter on your growth and everything else?
Yeah, because well, with that one, I think it's like, because obviously some people have like more of a desire to have like fitness goals compared to some people. They're just like naturally, like their genetics are just like amazing. But, I just think fully like a lot of people should just like take on the challenge to grow in certain areas of that life, whether it may be just, Darren said on his episode, he was not going to eat meat for a week. Like that's growth. Just like, or like just deciding to work out maybe like once a day, like that's growth. You're better than you were last week, and that like transitions into like that mental thing. Because like for me, like you said, I'm like on my like journey, like it's up and down, like I still haven't hit my goal yet. It's been a couple years. It's been since 5 years ago, I guess, our freshman year of college. I've been trying to
cut it down,
trying to get to where I want to be, but just staying persistent. And even though I have like, I wouldn't say failed, but like I've had my times where I've just like reverted but I got back on track. Like I feel like I'm like way better than I was, 5 years ago. But that's just like the consistent like action. So like I think just like really anybody listening, like you just got to take some type of action, even if it is in spurts, to just like try to conquer that part of yourself. Because like for me, I think working out and all that's like more mental than anything. Like the food part is more mental than anything. You're more so training your mental than you are trying to improve your health.
Yeah, and if you don't have those types of goals, just pay attention to the way you're feeling on the opposite side. So like you may not have like a growth goal, like I want to be a bodybuilder, I want to be an Olympic athlete or whatever it might be. Just pay attention to how you feel when you do smash like a pint of Ben and Jerry's at night, and then like you just don't feel good, and you're like, okay, like take note of that. And that's why I wanted to put that on like the first thing, because like everybody has to eat, so you have to become consciously aware of how you feel when you do take in certain foods. And like, does eating this way make you feel like you don't want to work, right? Or does eating these things make you actually like more, motivated and feel refreshed? So like, just because everybody has to eat, we're not health experts by any means, but I think it's just something to put on there, because like that is going to determine growth or not. But when it comes to the things you do for fun, when it comes to everything else, like there's also like how you think and how you speak. Like you can speak yourself into growth or into like failure, into the opposite of that. And I think people can make those transitions as well on, the thoughts that they have and the things that they say. And there's certain words, phrases, things that they need to let go of, right? And so if you're already consciously aware of like, okay, I've got my body in check, what about your mind? What about your mouth? Like it's a big deal. So I kind of want to ask you again, like what words or things have you replaced in your own life in terms of speaking a different way and thinking a different way and like letting go of old thoughts?
Yeah. I mean, with that's like that's a progression too. Because like, for example, like now I try not to say, well, I don't say try anymore. Like trying is just like that's just an excuse for you to just not do it.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause, like if you just tried, it makes it easy to say, "Oh yeah, I tried," but like and more so saying like I will do it or I am going to do it. Just like those positive words in terms of just like already assuming that it's going to happen. I think that's a big thing. Like even if it's in here with us, like sometimes we'll like say, like I think it was the other day, you said something and I was like, we will.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I was about to say the word if.
Yeah.
Like I really work hard to cut the word if out of my life because
Yeah.
when you're talking about something positively, hey, if this ever happens, if we ever get this, but you're talking about a goal, like you can't say if and have a goal at the same time because you're basically putting it in luck's hands.
Mm-hmm.
You're saying, if I ever make $1 million, then I'll do this.
Mm-hmm.
Like you're already putting yourself in a position of hope and wish instead of like actually achieving it. Instead of saying, when I make $1 million, this is what I'm going to do,
Mm-hmm.
right? When I get the body, this is what I'm going to do. And even then you can take win to out of your vocabulary as well, because some people will go to when and start to leverage that on an excuse, like, well, whenever, stuff like that. You can even switch that out of your vocabulary. So like words to let go of, like try, if, maybe, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get very clear, yes, no. Like if you can just get the word maybe out of your life, then you will like see all kinds of different changes in the results, because you're going to be very clear of yes and no. When you're going to clear out your thoughts, you're going to clear out like your plans, you're going to clear a lot out, and you'll just make clear-cut decisions.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's important. Like how you think and how you speak is big on that. And there are words that you can let go of, and if is a big one for me, because I'll say if, and then when it comes to thinking or saying something like negative, like, hey, what if this ever happens to you? I don't even like try to entertain those ideas. I'm like, what? Like, don't put that on me. I'm not going to sit here and think about this like terrible decision or this terrible life circumstance. Or when people say, can you imagine? And it's like really bad. I'm like, no, I don't want to think thoughts like that. So I think like making that clear-cut distinction is pretty big when it comes to your growth and letting go.
Yeah, and I think that's probably one of the most important parts too. Like you need to let go of words that don't progress you forward. That's like first and foremost. That's like the main way to just enhance your growth to where you want to go, because like just the words are powerful.
And you should write down, like if you're listening out there right now, write down anytime you say try, if, maybe, right? Those 3 words, like if you can get those out, like, and you might write them down like 20, 30, 40 times a day. You might not even notice it because it's just subconscious. It's just programmed in there. And you got to start to unveil that by like looking at it like, I said if, right? It's kind of like a swear jar. Like think of it like that. Or maybe, right? Like you gotta know, or be able to say like, I don't know.
Yeah, and we mentioned our ebook decisions. Like make a decision. Like it's very clear to say, like to know if someone decided by their words. Like if someone decided that they were going to do something, they wouldn't say those words, try and all that, because like it just means like if you make a decision, it's going to be yes, it's going to happen.
Yeah, and you want the people in your life who are making decisions.
Yeah.
And then another step here then is like understanding like you're not going to be able to influence other people or things around you if you can't influence yourself. So we have an episode called Conquer Yourself. You guys can go back and check that out. But it does talk about that. It kind of expands on the whole thinking and speaking and like the things you need to do to get that little voice out of your head that like doesn't serve you and put it in a position to where it does. But another concept of this grow or let go is also the information you consume. What you watch and listen to, the books you read or don't read, the people you subscribe to and listen to and follow, celebrities or not, the ones around you. So how has that played like an impact on your life? Because you like we made a pretty quick switch from certain music to podcasts, certain like TV shows to books, little things like that. But for a lot of people, I don't think they realize how important what they're consuming is like doing and like how important it is and how it's consuming them as well. So like how have you replaced the information just in your life? Because information is everything.
Yeah, I mean the information you consume is like that controls a lot. So it's like whether it is what you see, what you hear, whatever it may be, that consumes a lot. So like for people who listen to music all the time or negative music all the time, like or sad music, and you feel sad, like there's a correlation there. It's not like by coincidence. But like for me, one thing I can think of, like for me, right, is like when I first got started. So when I was 19, that was the first time I like read my first book, like personal development book, and also like my first book all the way through that I just thoroughly enjoyed. Like during school, I read some books, but I just didn't enjoy them. But like when I read that, you know, that changed everything. So I just started reading books and listening to audios, and then even like when I got to college, like that was a time where I started to really realize that, you know, there's certain information that I want to consume, and I'm not going to let someone tell me I have to consume something that I don't want to. So like for example, it was my junior year. That's when I was like a communications major, and most of my classes like had to do with the news. I don't watch the news, so and a lot of our homework assignments coming into class was we had to write like a short 3 to 4 sentence paragraph about a certain article in the news. So for one, I just most of the time didn't do that because I just refused to watch the news. Like I don't watch the news, or if I did do it, I just went like straight to the Weather Channel section and just wrote something about the weather.
Damn.
But yeah, I was fried back in but and a lot of times too when I went in class, like honestly, I would open up my laptop. I think I said this before. Like I open my laptop, I would not pay attention to class the whole time because like in college you can have your laptop and everything. So I'm just on like entrepreneur.com or any type of thing on Google to just like learn about the information that I want to learn and not the information that they tell me I have to learn because it's going to help me get to this place in life knowing damn well it's not.
It's not, yeah, because we've already finished college and like there's still people struggling at 24, 25. They don't know about grad school. They don't know about a job, right? And if you're out there listening, like school is designed to get you into a job, you know, and like I recommend going to school to have the experience, but understand like you really need to be in the position for that information to serve you. Like you have to be in a growth position with that information to make sure it's getting you to the next step. And I think that that's what like really growth, especially in your information, is about. If you're going to consume information, it needs to have a clear path to the next step of where you're trying to get, or at least close in the ballpark. Otherwise, it is literally a waste of time, and you just got to let it go. For you, it didn't serve you. But what's crazy is on paper, they would call you dumb because your grades suck. But you are just as capable as learning as anybody else. You've already spent more than a college education on information that you want to learn for yourself. So like, I think that there's a clear like cut. Like everybody learns different, and understanding that like however you're trying to like be successful, whatever it is for you. Like if you're learning out there in a certain structure and you're uncomfortable in that structure, it doesn't feel like it's getting you where you need to go. You need to switch it up. And at the same time, don't just skate by if you're just in there thinking that because you're around the information, it's going to get you where you want to go. Being around it is not the same thing as like actually learning it. Like learning it is getting emotionally involved. It's actually taking action based on it, making a change based on it. So if you have a school, like a skill set that you get from school or a mentor or like somewhere that you're trying to get, you need to make sure that that information is going to get you to that somewhere. Do you have anything else on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear. Like, even like the information you have, like you have to be able to apply it. If you cannot apply it, and if it can't add to your growth by applying it, like it's not helping you grow.
Yeah, knowledge is not power.
Yeah,
the application is exactly. And then let's talk about a more sensitive subject. Then family and friends. Like, how do you choose which ones are actually helping you grow and things that you need to let go, right? Because it's pretty clear to say, like with yourself, I can do better. I can eat better. I can work better. I can whatever, right? And go to the growth and say, oh, I'm going to cut all this out. Most people won't stick on the cut this out. They'll stick more on like trying to build positive habits, but they'll try to add them into negative habits, and it just eventually doesn't work, right? So then they move on, they go to information. They start to switch up the information, and maybe it does or doesn't fit for them. But there comes a point where the people play the biggest part. And I think we've got a lot to like dive into on this, but like the people around you, there's a reason why they say the sum of, the 5 friends, like that you are the sum of your 5 friends. And this is the hardest part because you have the most emotion invested. You have the most time. You have the most expectations. Like you can expect to feel good or bad after food, and that's just you and you. You can expect to feel good or bad after class, and that's just you and you. But when you add in another person, that's a new variable. So like, how do you distinguish like the people in your life and how they are adding to growth, or they're people that you kind of just need to let go?
Yeah, I mean, Well, that's a tough one. That can be a tough one for anybody. So like for me starting out, it was kind of tough, but it really wasn't. Just because like I don't know, I just made the decision, and then once I heard that quote too, I just observed and just like looked at it for myself to see if it was true, see if it was like a true like theory, and it was like I would look at certain family or I would look at certain friends and literally see, damn, they really are doing the same things, and I knew where I wanted to be a part of. So like I kind of like for me, I kind of like made the decision early on that I was going to hang out with like these type of people because like they were on what I was trying to be on, and that was the fastest way to get to where I want to be. And like we were talking about it the other day, just like for us, it was never really like abrupt in terms of like how we did it. It just like happened. Like we just naturally just like separated ourselves from certain people or just spent less time, not necessarily cut people off, but just like spend less time here and spend more time here.
Yeah, it happens naturally. And I think people think when it comes to like you got to cut off all your friends and you got to do all this stuff, like they turn it into an action. Oh, this is something I have to go actively do. Like I've got to go door to door and tell all my friends and family, hey guys, I'm doing this thing, so I can't talk to you anymore because you suck, right? Like that's not how it is. Like if you dive headfirst into what you want to do, people will naturally fall off, or you will just naturally outgrow them, and to where you just like genuinely don't have the time to do those things that don't serve you. Like if you got friends who, hey, let's go out Friday, Saturday night, but you've got work to do to get you where you want to go, like you're going to choose that if you're truly emotionally invested, in where you're trying to get, and it's going to happen naturally. No, I can't tonight, guys. I got this. A good way to think of it, I think you said it when we were talking about this before too, is like it's like when a guy gets a girlfriend, right? And he just like leaves his friend group. Like there's like Saturdays for the boys, except for the guys who have girls, right? Like they just disappear. And nobody says anything, right? Imagine if you put that same attention into your goal or where you want to go. And the same thing happens for girls too. Girls go out in groups and then they get a boyfriend and things change, right? People respect it when it's a relationship, but what about the relationship with your business and where you're trying to get, what you're trying to create, what you're trying to do? Like that happens naturally. It's not some action that you just like go out there, like I said, door to door and telling everybody like, hey, you don't fit in my life anymore. Yeah. And I think people overthink it.
Yeah, because like plus like once you like make the decision and like once you do it, it's just like once you do it consistently enough, the people that you used to hang out with, they start to understand. Like they just understand. So like I had a friend, I think it was a couple, maybe 3 or 4 months ago. I seen him out. Me and my cousin, we went to this little event in this place, Fountain Square, this little record store. There was some event we went to, and I seen it was actually Tim. Fun fact, I was supposed to room with Tim in college. The room stuff got messed up, and I ended up rooming with Tristan.
With yours truly, the greatest. Random roommates, here we are.
But we were talking, and he was like, yeah, Josh, like for one, he was like, I think it was just meant to be for us not to room together. But he was also just like, I understand now what you were on back then. Like, because like there would be times where he would try to see like what I was on, but I was like, nah, like I'm in, like working or whatnot. But like later on, like literally 4 or 5 years later, he's like, oh, I understand now. Like I understand, like I see it now. And they start to appreciate it, and they also, try to do something of their own to get on that wave too. So it's like you don't have to cut people off. Just like do you, like separate yourself and do you. They may feel some type of way. But it's just come from a lack of understanding. They might feel that way starting off, but eventually they will come around and be like, I understand. And damn, how do I get on what you on?
yeah, they'll always come around too. And like there's similar things that have happened, with me as well. It's just like they always come around because you stick to what you said you were going to do. And like that's the important part with this is like when you're mastering yourself and you're mastering the things that you put in your life, like your information and how you consume things, then your friends and family will honestly really respect it. And if you have a struggle with that, and I said it on another episode, if you're having a struggle with, like the haters or people like pushing, then you're not pushing hard enough or long enough, either or. Like if you're all in, like if you worked 3 jobs, everybody would stay off your back. But if you worked as hard on 3 jobs as you did on your craft, people stay off your back too. It's very visible. And I think that like understanding that it is a visible thing, they will eventually see it. They just don't see what you see, like it's in your head. Then you'll have that like comfort to know, okay, like letting go does not mean cutting off, sending out a mass text or something like that. And there are people who do that too. Darren said he did that when he first got exposed.
Yeah.
He said he sent out a group message to all his friends. I'm not partying anymore. I'm not doing all this stuff. And they're like, yeah, right. See you next week. And then he didn't show up.
Yeah.
And then things started to change. Relationships started changing. Now they see. Now they understand because he's on private jets on the weekend. He's the Lambo man, stuff like that. But I understand too that like your work is going to be a big part of this too. Like the people around you are huge, right? But like when you work, that's a third of your day. Like if you work an 8-hour shift somewhere, that is a third of your life. And if you sleep 8 hours a night, like now you're 2/3 of the way done with the day. And that's not including driving, eating, showering, and that time with friends and family, like how you choose to spend your time. And for people out there, I don't think many people are just truly in a position yet to be doing what they love and making money. I know that I'm not all the way there. I'm doing what I love, but I'm not making the money I need yet. So I've got to do some other things. It's just part of it, right? But everything is going to ask of you. School is going to want some money. Food requires money. Transportation requires money. Clothes, experiences, like all of that requires money. You need a lot of it. So how do you position yourself in terms of making money, and how do you think about making money and making sure that how you make the money actually puts you in a position of growth instead of it being something like, I got to get out of this job. I got to move out of this place. I got to like let it go, right? How do you make sure what you're doing actually makes you like feel good, even if there's like not a massive amount of cash flow? How do you feel about that and the jobs?
Yeah. So I mean, I think first off, like when it comes to work, like you got to do what you got to do. But like, if you have the control, if you have the opportunity to choose what you do and also like feel good about it, like if you have the opportunity, like take it. So like for us, where the money's not exactly where we want it to be yet, but we know the work we're doing has like a greater purpose, like on the back end. So like on a daily basis, like we know we're growing. Like even if the bank account doesn't say it, like even if that's not growing, we know like it's incubating, like it's cooking, like it's under pressure, it's cooking right now for eventually when the time comes where it just like explodes. So like I think you really got to, like I was talking to someone the other day, they make some pretty good money, but they hate what they do and they don't even like the people that they work with. So like, what's the point in that? Like if you don't like at least enjoy talking to the people that you're around, like why do it? Like why put yourself in that situation? Like why don't you just like go somewhere else and like try to figure out how you can at least feel better with what you're doing and have like a better vibration in the environment that you're in.
Yeah, because how you feel is going to affect the rest of this as well. And like understand that like you want to be trying to grow in every area of your life, because the opposite of growth is death in any area of your life. So like if you're not growing in every single area, which it's not going to happen every single day, but if you can get that little 1% every single day, that's the opposite of that death, sucking out that energy, right? And the concept of letting things go is literally like clearing out the weeds, getting stuff out. And if you're working, like understand the money cannot measure the experience. Like it can't. There are people who love what they do and they do it with volunteer work, but there are people who hate what they do and they make millions and millions of dollars a year. So like you truly got to remember that like even your job is your choice. Like we started off here with just like food, right? And decisions and how you speak. That's 100% in your control. And it. So those if, try, even when words, getting out of there. We talked about the information. That's also your choice. What you put on TV, what you put in front of you. Your friends and family, that's your choice too. And the work you do. I think it's like a ladder, and people are like, yeah, it starts with me, but I got a job. Yeah, it starts with me, but I got a friend or family that distract me. And I think one thing that to remember here is like on this show, we're talking about how to think and understanding, like thinking for yourself, being an independent thinker. This is for you as an individual. So even the money you make, don't limit yourself to your city, to your own studies on if you're qualified or not and have the prerequisites. Like you'd be surprised how many people hire people that don't have the resume prerequisites just because they truly want to be there. So don't limit yourself to those places, because if you can't find the job that you want, the good news is you can go create it. And that's what we're doing. Like the ideal job just isn't out there. So we're creating our ideal life. And you'll start to get the money, but the most important thing is how you're getting the money. It's going to feel really, really good. So like any time that cash flow really starts to come in and out, we feel really good about it. Because even though we might invest thousands of dollars into a new software or product, we know that it's a thing that's going to get us where we want to go growth-wise, right? Whereas other people would feel like that money's being taken from them. But because we're working on what we want to create, it just compounds. Like, not only did we make the money, but then we invested the money again. So now it's having that compound effect. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that's like important. And you can look at this from reverse and go straight down the list. You can start with your job. Then you can go with your friends and family. Then you can go with the information in your life, and then yourself and your own habits. You can look at this topic in any 4 of those areas and understand that you are in a growth position or you're in a place that you need to let it go, you know? And I don't even have like anything else on the topic because I'm just like, it's so simple. But I hope that everybody like listening understands how simple it is and how much like action they can take on it like right now.
Yeah, and like, and one last thing, like you just know, like you know if what you're doing, like if it's serving you to get to your, and that's what I think too, is most people, they may not be in growth situations because they don't have like the goal they want to go to.
They haven't made the decision.
Yeah, like they have no idea where they're trying to get. So how can you possibly know like where you're at compared to like where you're trying to get? So it's like if you don't have a goal and you're stuck in a job that you necessarily don't like, or you're around people that, you know, or that just make you comfortable, like you're probably going to stay in that situation because like you have no idea where you're trying to go. So like for us, we know where we're trying to go. So we know the caliber of people we need to be around. We know the work environment we need to be around. We know what, you know, how much time, like we love our family, but we also know that we can only do so much compared to like where we want to go. Or like we just know like where we want to go. So like we know we can look at all these different variables and be like, okay, and identify what it is that is serving us and what isn't serving us. So anybody listening to this, like if you don't know what you need to replace, just look at where you're trying to go and then start from there.
Yeah. And if you don't know where you're trying to go, then that's a totally different episode. Yeah. That's a totally different thing to start with. And you can go through our episode list and you'll probably find exactly what you're looking for. And you can even go to that free guide, mindflux.com/decisions, and you'll actually get some clarity on that, because everything that is missing, if you're not linking this together all the way, anything that's missing is just a decision. That's it. And I think that that's important. Like if you're going to be looking at what's growing and taking you where you want to go, or what's literally killing you and what you need to let go, like understand there's some clear-cut decisions that need to be made. And whether it be for yourself, for the things around you, or the people around you, or the work that you do, there's some clear decisions that need to be made, and uncovering that is your responsibility. And that's how we pass it back on to you. So that's one thing I do want to ask is like, for our listeners, you know, what in your life is going to be let go? Understanding this, like, is it a place in your job and how you spend your time? Is it personal? Is it the information, right? What isn't serving you, and what is adding negative feelings or holding you back from feeling good? I think you all know the growth feeling. You all know what it feels like to feel better. So I want to ask you guys to become consciously aware and try to figure out what is making you feel the opposite of that. And if you can, just DM us and let us know at Mindfluxed, MINDFLUXED, and let us know after you listen to this episode, what did you decide to let go of? And I think that'll be a good start for anybody to start putting this episode into action.
Yep.
Yeah? You got anything else on it?
Nope.
Awesome, guys. So again, you guys can follow us at Mindfluxed, MINDFLUXED. And you can respond to that question there too. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit subscribe. And if you're listening on iTunes, we need a review. Those two things are going to help us get this to as many people as possible. Our goal is to be on the top 5 of entrepreneurship and personal development podcasts in the world. As always, we're produced by Benji Got Beats at BENJY Got Beats. I'm one of your hosts at Tristan Is Thinking. Where can they find you, Josh?
IG at I am Josh Matthews.
Boom. We'll see you guys next week.
Peace.